everyone, it's me, New York vocalist Benita Charles. I am here at the Highline Park in New York City. Trying to turn the camera around. Hi everyone, it's me, New York vocalist, here at the Highline Park in New York City. It's a beautiful park that was once a railroad. They converted it into a park, and it's gorgeous. It runs from 14th Street to 34th Street. So it's a nice long path. There's wildflowers on the sides. So after the broadcast, I'll show some highlights. But it's a really nice park, and it's a wonderful day. Hi Ernie, how are you? I'm at the Highline Park in New York City. It's an old railroad that was converted into a park. It's really gorgeous. They have wildflowers everywhere. Hi, how are you? How are you doing today? And it is wonderful. Oh, great. How is the weather where you are? It's really nice here in New York. I'm under the shade, so it's really pleasant. And oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. So I'm back for another episode of Singing Tips, and just wanting to bring some cheer to everyone this afternoon. It's a beautiful, thank you for the hearts. It's a beautiful day here at the park. So I'd like to just breathe in the nice air. It's so pleasant here. It's awesome. So maybe after the broadcast, I'll show you some highlights of the park. It's really cool. It's an old railroad like trail. It's like wildflowers everywhere. It's gorgeous. So I'm wanting to bring you back for another episode of Singing Tips. I'm New York vocalist Benita Charles. Every week I give singing tips to beginner singers to help them become more professional. And just to give you a little bit of background about Singing Tips in case you're new here. Singing Tips was an idea that I discovered or created from the need of singers asking me to teach them about singing. And the whole concept of what I'm trying to do was inspired by the movie Get On Up. I'm going to make this movie popular again because it's the James Brown story. Thanks again for the hearts. It's a James Brown story, and it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. I mean, just from his life and the actor who played him. I'm going to get the details of this movie because I'm going to pump this movie up because the actor who played James Brown was phenomenal. He should have won an Oscar. But there was a part in the movie where James Brown said that this is show business. There's a show part and there's a business part. And that really struck a chord with me because I find that to be very true. I mean, a lot of times we focus so much on the show part, but the business part is just as important. So that's what we're doing here at Singing Tips. We're going from show to business for show business. So we did the first 11 tips, the first 10 tips we did was about your talent. That's your foundation. Now we're moving to your performance, actually performing in front of an audience. So believe it or not, we're on tip number 17. Can you believe that? Just to give you a recap of the other tips we did. So in your performance section, tip number 11 was to sing in front of an audience. Tip number 12 was to project your voice when you sing. 13, we talked about how to handle technical difficulties. And 14, we talked about singing with live musicians versus singing with performance tracks. Thank you so much, Ernie, for sharing. And sharing this out on Twitter. That's really awesome. Tip number 14, we talked about singing. Oh, well, I just said that. So tip number 15 was engage your audience. And last week's tip was how to stay motivated when the going gets tough. So we had 16 tips in this section, the performance. Can you believe that? So we're on tip number 17, and today we're going to discuss every musical equipment singer should have. So musical equipment every singer should have. Yeah. So I would say the number one thing that every singer should have is their own microphone. So you won't believe this, but it's really important. Sorry, let me get this microphone. You wouldn't believe this because it's really important, because sometimes when you have a gig, they don't provide the microphone. And if you don't have your own microphone, you are going to have to share someone else's mic, and that's going to be really uncomfortable. So I have a Shure mic, and this is one of the most popular mics for singers. There's other brands, but Shure, they specialize in vocal mics, so it's a good brand to have. So I have a Shure mic, and this mic is very versatile. I have another mic. What is this? AKG. Now this mic I got because the salesperson said that it's good for recording and live performance. But I like my Shure mic, and that's the mic that most singers have, is a Shure mic. Now this is a corded mic, so you might want to invest, when you get a mic like this, you have to invest in your own cord, because you don't want to try to depend on the other people or the people who hired you. They may not have a cord, so bring your own mic cord. I didn't bring it because it's kind of bulky, but you can always, if you don't know, just when you go to the music store, just ask for the mic cord that goes along with this microphone. And so I would say that's the most important thing. If you don't have anything else, you need your own mic, because it's so important. When you go to a gig, you don't want to be stuck out there and they're like, where's your mic? Do I have one? No, you don't want that. So the second thing I would say that I didn't bring it because it was too bulky, but I would say invest in a small PA system, because sometimes with that you can go to you can go to little cafes and restaurants and perform with a duo or a trio, and it's really portable. I have a cube, Roland cube. You can go online and search for that kind of thing, but it works for me because it's very powerful. My guitarist can connect as well as me as the vocalist with the vocal mic, and it has a really big sound. Like it covers the whole room. For a small, medium-sized room, it's really great. I do have a bigger system, a Fender bigger system that's like a suitcase, but it's very bulky, and I've used it a few times, and the cube works just as well. It actually works better for smaller gigs. So that's really, really cool. Let's see, the other thing that I have, invest in, I wrote it down somewhere else. But anyway, I would say invest, if you can, invest in a video recorder, because it's good to record yourself. You can repurpose it, you can send it, put it on YouTube. Also, you can review it and just see like what worked, what didn't work, and it'll help you with your performances. I saw online, and I should have got the information, but I saw online they have a robot cameraman. It's really interesting. I'm like, when I get the money, I would like to invest in it. So it would be like this little robot camera, and you mount it, and it stands up, and it moves when you move. I thought that was pretty unique. So, I mean, that's kind of like high-tech stuff if you have the money for it, you know. But, you know, so I would say, and then like maybe if you can, an additional like audio equipment. If you don't want to do the video, there's an audio little thing called Zoom, and it picks up like all of the music or whatever, and you can make little audio files with it. So I think that's really good. And one other thing that I like to mention is iClip. So what it is it clips to your iPad. You can put your lyrics on it, and you can clip it on the mic stand. So it's a lot better than having a notebook of songs, and you can peek at your lyrics. If you have a gig, a high-powered gig that has a lot of songs, like, you know, that's something like that is really helpful, because You can just you don't have to memorize everything, but you would know your songs, but you could peek, but it's not distracting. Like if you had your lyrics up, you don't want to do that because most people they find it unprofessional, but it is acceptable for you to have like the little clip on your iPad, and you just peek down at your lyrics. And I would recommend having your lyrics, we'll talk about that another time in terms of lyrics and all that, but I would recommend having your lyrics already saved on your iPad as opposed to going online to the lyric sites, because thank you, I'm glad and thanks for the hearts. But because I've seen a case where someone was relying on Wi-Fi, and the room that they were in, I was on a gig actually, and the room that we were in didn't have good Wi-Fi, so they couldn't connect to their lyrics, or it took a while. You know how when it's spinning and you're waiting and waiting? So it was crazy because the person was like, the band was looping the intro, looping, and the person was waiting. The lyrics were spinning. Hi, Miss Thankful, thanks for joining. The lyrics were spinning, and finally the lyrics came up, and he was able to sing. But it was, it was a little, it's kind of humorous. But hi, how are you, Miss Thankful? How are you doing? It's good to see you. But yeah, so that was, or at least. That's why I always say have it memorized, because you don't want that to happen where you're like you're waiting for the Wi-Fi to happen and it's not happening. So at least know it as much as you can, and also have it where you can already saved on your iPad, so you're not relying on trying to pull them up. But Miss Thankful, thanks for joining. I just wanted to give you a recap of what we're talking about. So this week we're talking about every equipment that every singer should have. Now, we did a recap of all the other tips that we did. So this section is your performance. So everything that we talk about in this section is all about performing in front of an audience. So we had, so far, this is tip number 17. Believe it or not, we've had 17 tips for singers to know what to do when they sing in front of an audience. So tip number 11, Dogzer, thanks for joining. So tip number 11 was for you to sing in front of an audience. Tip number 12 was you to project your voice when you sing. 14 was singing with live musicians versus singing with performance tracks. Tip number 15 was engage your audience. Last week's tip was how to stay motivated when the going gets tough. And this week is all about every musical equipment every singer should have when they're going on a gig. So the number one thing out of everything that I talked about, and we'll go over everything else, the number one thing every singer should have is their own mic. You don't want to go on a gig, and now sometimes I have to say, some gigs they'll tell you you don't have to bring a mic, but let them tell you that. Don't assume or ask. Don't assume that they have a mic. You want to have your own mic, and that's something actually you should have anyway. You should invest in a good mic. I have a Shure mic, and you can go online and Google Shure. It's one of the best brands for mics. They specializes in mics. There's other companies. Silky, thanks for joining. There's other companies. We're talking about every equipment that every singer should have, and the number one thing you should always have is a mic. You don't want to go on a gig and assume that they have a mic, or ask them, do you have a mic? Do I need to bring my mic? But you need it anyway. Invest in a good mic, because not every gig they will supply the mic. And with the mic comes a mic cord, or you can invest in a cordless mic. I don't have one. I would like to get one eventually, because those are nice too. You don't have to worry about a cord. You have a cordless mic. But invest in a good mic. That's what every singer should have. The second thing is, if you're planning to do like coffee houses and restaurants and small gigs, invest in a small PA, because most places don't have PA systems. So I have a rolling cube. It's a portable little cube amp, and I can plug in my vocal mic. My guitarist can plug his guitar in. I have a percussionist, and I have a trio, and it's simple, and and it's no frills, and it doesn't take up as much space as a huge PA system. And it's just, that's down the line when you get ready to really start. When we get in the business part and we really talk about gigging and all that stuff, but initially, it's something to think about. But the number one thing is your mic. You need a mic. Also, I would say invest in a little clip for your iPad for your lyrics, because it really helps. You don't have to worry about the big notebooks remember the big notebooks we used to have with all the lyrics. And in most places they don't want to see you looking at your lyrics, but this way you can peek down at your lyrics without it distracting from the performance, and it gives you peace of mind. You don't have to worry about memorizing hundreds of songs. So, and I was just saying that just make sure you save your lyrics on your iPad as opposed to trying to get the Wi-Fi to pull up the lyric sites, because depending on where you are, sometimes there's no service. And also too, with lyrics, sometimes if it's a outdoor gig and it runs through the night, you won't be able to see it. If you have your iPad, that's different, because an iPad is lighted. But when you are looking at just papers and you're looking at those notebooks, and I've been on a gig like that where there was no light. It was at night. It was like going into the evening, and then in the nighttime there was no light. So thank goodness I knew my words. But just imagine if I didn't know the words and I was trying to rely on the lyrics. That would have been a little embarrassing. So so that's this week's tip. I hope it's helpful to everyone. I hope you enjoy these tips. If you're not a singer, just know that I'm thinking about this. Okay, you've often heard the saying that luck is opportunity plus preparation. So just think of these tips as preparing for opportunity. And I'm going to say something about that, because a lot of times, especially when you're starting out and you're thinking, I'm just doing this, I don't know what's going to happen. This is preparing you, because opportunities come and they go. I've had so many opportunities come my way, and because I was not prepared, I lost the opportunity. So I'm preparing you for when you get that gig, you already have your mic. Nobody will have to tell you anything. You have to get your mic. Your songs will be down. Your talent will be so right that when you get that gig, they love it. They'll ask for you again. So that's what this is all about. It's about preparing for the opportunities, because you have to have faith. The opportunities will come, but you have to be ready. So that's what these singing tips is all about, is getting you ready. So I hope that, let's say you're not a singer and you're looking at this, and like, what's in it for me? What's in it for you is just knowing that whatever you want to do, prepare yourself, because the opportunity is going to come your way and you want to be ready. So that's what this is all about. This is all about you being ready for the opportunity. Thank you so much for the hearts. You're so awesome. I love it. I'm not used to that. Prior to you coming on, I never really got hearts and all that. So this is really great. So, thank you. So I hope that you find these tips helpful. That's it for me in terms of the tips. I would like to sing something for you, because this is all about singing in front of an audience. So I would like to sing you an original song from my CD, Moments in Love. It's available on CD Baby and iTunes. So let me see. This is called Happy. Came into work today with a smile on my face, and everyone's asking me, why am I so happy? I don't really know just what to say. I don't really know how to explain the way I feel. Let me tell you what happened. You see, I went home yesterday after a very long, hard day. And then he made love to me almost immediately. He took me to the moon and to the stars, and then up to there and back to Mars. Never coming down. He makes me happy. He's got all the love I need. He satisfies me. He's got everything I need. He took me to the moon and to the stars, and then up to there and back to Mars. Never coming down. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little taste of happy. And thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Singing Tips. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And you can connect with me on Instagram for Singing Tips. It's BCM Sings on Instagram. And click on the bio and it connects to all of the tips that you missed. I try to archive everything. It's on YouTube as well. So Benita Charles on YouTube. I have a Singing Tips playlist. You can see all the videos from Singing Tips on there. But I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you next time on Singing Tips. Thanks so much for being a great audience. And I'm here at the Highline Park in New York City. Oh, thank you. So after I do my Facebook Live, I'll come back and show you some scenes from the park. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me. Goodbye.